Hey, this is Leslie Harris with Into the Garden with Leslie on News Radio WINA, sponsored by Dos Amigos Landscaping and Holistic Pest Solutions. And this is new and different because I usually look like a slob with dirt on my face while I'm doing this. And I am here with Kelly Lehman, who is the creator of Cranberry Fields, which is a lovely cut flower farm in New Jersey. And we're going to do this podcast. Like, here we are. Hello, Kelly.
We're going live. Yeah. And we're both recording this for the first time to put on our YouTube channel. So this is going to be such a learning experience for the two of us.
It really will. I mean, I bumped into Kelly on Instagram, which is one of my sort of two social media platforms. Kelly has 17,000 media platforms and 17 million followers on each of them. No, just kidding.
No, I wish.
She's very active.
It feels like the work involved.
But she's so active, but it's all based on like reality of understanding and loving plants. So tell us, what's your 9 to 5 dig in the dirt job?
Okay, so the 9 to 5, we have a flower farm here in Cranberry, New Jersey. And so basically I've got like a secret garden that's got all my hydrangeas and, limelights and amber, you name it. I've got like so many different hydrangeas and peonies, and we've got sunflower fields. So, we kind of started off by selling fresh cut flowers. The idea was I was a stay-at-home mom. I was like, well, we live on this, really nice, piece of property that used to have corn growing on it and soybeans. And I said to my husband, my youngest is going off to kindergarten. This was way back like 12 years ago. And I said, I want to, do something to earn some money, save for the college, but still be home. And so we put in a flower farm. I had a lot of help from the local farmers. And the first season I grew my first flowers. I was so proud. And I took my son Jack to a florist, and we had this, bucket of, I think we had maybe zinnias and, marigolds. And I said, oh, how much, will you give me for these? It took me a year to grow. I'm so proud. And I think it was like 15 cents a stem. Oh. And I was like, wait a minute, so she's like, well, I can give you $20 for, the bucket. I was like, oh my God, it took me like a million, hours of labor. And so I was like, well, this probably isn't, the best idea for me. I wasn't really knowledgeable about doing the farmers markets, because there is obviously like ways to make money by, running a flower farm and selling direct like that. I was just like, I don't know if that's the route for me right now. And a couple of girlfriends said, well, why don't you have a Flowers of the Month Club, and we'll just buy like the arrangements direct from you instead of going to like a florist. And that's how it started out. And so I started a florist, and we would use the fresh cut flowers from the farm. We started doing weddings, and then we were doing funerals, and then it just kind of blew into a full-blown florist. So my daily thing is still keeping up with the farm. But what I did was I'm super lazy.
Oh, so I don't think so, Kelly. I don't know you very well, but I know what you do. And no.
The secret is I really am, because what I try to do is I made sure that like a decade ago, as I started to plant, I started planting only things that were super easy to take care of, that were perennials. They were going to come back year after year, and I wasn't going to have to futz over them. I wasn't going to have to fertilize them and baby them. It was like, like the Darwin farm, like Darwinism, like you need to, like just be the strongest of the strong, or you're not going to survive here, because like there's just, chasing 4 kids around. There was like not that much time for gardening. And that's what I did. And I started research. Like I knew nothing about flowers. Which is why I was like this epic fail for so many years. Like I wish I could show you like how much time I spent out there, and like, we just weren't profitable, and I wasn't figuring it out. And I just read and was online and watched YouTube videos. And I finally figured out there are certain plants that will give you like a bounty of flowers, for minimal amounts of work. And there's certain ways that you can sell these and market these. And then we started figuring that out. And I was like, wow, now I understand.
Now you understand. And once you crack the code, you decided not to keep it to yourself. You share it on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everything. So tell us, when did the content creation in front of a camera start?
Oh, that's a great idea. So we were selling, then we decided to, well, let's not just sell it in, my little town of Cranberry. Let's, package up these flowers in burlap wrap bouquets and ship them out nationwide. And then you're like, well, to sell nationwide, people need to know about you. Yes. So I said, well, let me do a couple YouTube videos, how to make your hydrangeas bloom. People are always wondering why their hydrangeas aren't blooming, and, how to grow sunflowers and all this stuff. And I basically got crickets. Nobody watched, it was like all this work. And I was like, I'm going to be this, overnight sensation. Nobody watched. I had no followers for like 3 years. And, but we kept shipping out the bouquets. And then COVID hit. And then all of a sudden, these little, how-to videos mostly about hydrangeas and sunflowers and peonies. Those are like my 3, favorites, all of a sudden they like took off. And all of a sudden I look at my channel, like 1 million people are like, watching how to keep their hydrangeas blooming properly. And, then, 300,000 people were watching, the sunflower video. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what is going on here? And then I started devouring all sorts of information on how to be an influencer. How does this crazy influencer world work? Because I want in, I was like hooked. And so that was it. So then I just started like taking courses on how to be a YouTuber, how to go on Instagram, how to be a TikToker. And it's like this incredible world of sharing. And then you meet people from all over the world that are saying, oh, I just, my hydrangeas bloomed for the first time in like, 2
Because
decades.
of you.
I watched your little video and that I was just sold.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's such good feedback. And so I'm just trying to figure out, well, how much of what percentage of your time is devoted still to the flower farm right now?
That's a great question. So
we're recording this in December, so everything's asleep sort of. And
it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It is. So I would say up until last year, I would probably say my time was divvied up. 75% was doing the farming, doing the florist thing, doing the bouquets, shipping them out, advertising that. And then after COVID, and then 25% of it was, putting on Instagram, making some YouTube videos, it was kind of like maybe 25%. And then after I realized that it's like this huge satisfaction too of like helping people from like, someone's in like Indonesia. One of my favorite people is in Tasmania. And they're all over the place.
Oh,
saying,
wait, is it Nanny New?
Nanny New. I love this woman.
She's going to be on the show.
No.
Yes.
I got to have a Zoom. Let me know when what is she like how old is she?
She's in her 70s. This is, if you are a gardener and you're on Instagram and you don't follow, well, now she calls it Nanny's Diary.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That's her inspirational part.
And her real name is Julie. And I don't know how many followers she has, a couple hundred. It doesn't matter. She is just the most inspiring person.
That's so funny. I can't believe you know of her because she's my favorite. Like, I think I tag her like 6 times a week and I'm like, I just adore her. Like, she's just got this heart. Like,
oh, have you ever spoken to her in person?
No, I wish.
It was like, oh my gosh, all these feelings that I felt about Nanny New. And by the way, my phone, when I go to talk to her, I type in Nanny and my phone goes new. Because
oh, I love this. Oh, I have to connect with her because I feel the same. But this is what I'm saying. I mean, it sounds so silly, but like all of a sudden you make these connections with these. There's another gardener. Her name is Ursula, and she's in I think South Africa, and she's got like a florist, and we talk all the time about what's going on. We're in opposite seasons, and we're always like, so yeah. So that's now,
part of it.
So the percentages are switched now. So now I do I would say even 80%. Is the YouTubing, and now we're doing online flower courses because I want to reach a larger audience. So I loved bringing people bouquets. It made me so happy to see their faces, but I'm realizing there's a bigger platform out there
to teach. I want to talk about these courses. So how are you connecting with these courses that you're offering? Tell us about.
Okay, so there's some courses that are online. A lot of them it's brand new content on how to put in a fresh cut flower garden in your own backyard. And so I'm working with a company called Retrieve, and they are the whiz kids of making things super, super searchable, super easy to find, time saver. So basically, when you go onto my course, it'll tell you some of my top picks for perennial, plants in your garden. They'll come back year after year that, are so little work. And what this company did was they found a way to make it super searchable. For example, you can say, how do I, prune back my limelight hydrangea? And instead of having to watch an entire video on limelight hydrangeas, it'll go right to me saying, and here's how to prune your limelight hydrangea. And then you can actually read it underneath. It's transcribed into all these languages. It's a super searchable way of learning how to garden. So it blew my mind. And so I decided to make 3 courses with this company. One's how to grow annuals in your backyard, how to grow perennials, and then how to make beautiful arrangements out of these. And they're each course is $9.95. So the idea is to make it, very affordable, share it with, so many people that you can, and then let these people share their knowledge, with their friends and their family.
Let's talk about a few real gardening tips. You're really big on hydrangeas. Yes. I know how to prune hydrangeas, and it's one of those things. I was a Spanish teacher for years, and it's I know when to use the subjunctive, but it's kind of difficult to explain to other people when to use the subjunctive.
Yeah.
So how do you break it down for people with those, paniculata, the macrophylla, how do you do that for people to make it really super simple?
I love making things so simple because like I said, I truly am the laziest person. I basically say, if you don't know how to prune a hydrangea, don't prune it at all.
Yeah,
and you'll probably have the most spectacular flowers. And I feel like it's this like well-kept secret. I don't know why no one tells everybody just leave your hydrangeas alone.
Just don't touch it. You'll be
Don't touch it. Leave it alone. Same thing with peonies. Like, you know, I love these flowers that thrive on neglect. I mean, they really do. So basically, a lot of hydrangeas, like your endless summer and your Nico, a lot of them, the flowers come in on what's known as old wood. And that means that right now, like this time of year, like right now we're talking, it's December. I know this might be posted later, but like fall and winter, next year's blooms are getting formed right now. And what happens is a lot of people are like, oh, I want to, you know, make sure I have beautiful blooms. And I know that you have to recharge it and cut it down. So they go out there in fall, or they'll go out there in spring and they clean it up and they make it look all nice and proper and cozy. And they're basically shaving off all the flowers that were supposed to come in.
It's so
you know,
sad, but
yeah,
I do. So when I am breaking it down for people, and the two types that she just mentioned, the Nico is the classic macrophylla, and then the endless summer is supposed to be a little bit of both. So
yes.
I mean, you can leave it alone and you won't go wrong. You can always leave it alone and you won't go wrong, but you could touch on a little bit of the endless summer, and you can certainly clean up dead wood. Is that correct?
Definitely. So if you have, especially like those stems that are hollow, like if you look inside and there's a hole, it's a great idea to cut that stem out right from the bottom, because insects love to kind of, you know, hunker down in there. The only problem, you're probably better off waiting until like early spring for that, for like that cleanup, because then you can really start seeing some of those little tiny green buds, even though like some of those sticks look dead, like they look like they're brown. If you see any sign of little green on them, leave it alone, because, you know, it's definitely not dead. It's just dormant. But if there's a stick that, you know, in early spring, that's pure white, if you can snap it off and there's no green on the middle, it's white, then you can definitely cut that back and you can definitely clean it up.
You can. And that's for aesthetics. Just a note for people who are interested in habitat. Remember that those hollow stems on some of our perennials and shrubs are the place where our native bees love to make their homes. So if something's bugging you in your garden, I always say, you know, it's your garden. If you need to clean it up because that stick is driving me crazy, deal with the stick. But if it's not something that's bothering you, you might want to leave it until just before you need it to look good. Or if it never bothers you at all, leave it for habitat for native bugs. That's just something.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. We have leaf cutter bees here for the first time, and they love that. They love those little tiny, like tree, you know, like dead trees to go inside. And that's where they actually, you know, put their babies for next year to come out.
That's fantastic. Yeah, looking out for habitat. We got some good hydrangea tips, and we talked about the macrophylla. And what do you say to people with the the other two big types are the arborescens, like Annabelle, my favorite.
No, I love Annabelle.
I love Annabelle, and then of course the paniculata, like little lime, big, you know, limelight, blah blah blah. What do you say to people on those?
All right, so great question. So those are the ones that come in on like new growth. So basically, like if you did happen to cut it down in fall or winter, you know, it would be fine. You would wind up getting blooms. I think that usually the advice is to kind of wait until like late winter, early spring, for a couple of reasons. Like if you go in there and you like give your either one of those a heavy pruning, saying like the beginning of fall, and sometimes temperatures start to warm up, you know, you can have like a whole new burst. Like the plant's almost going to want to give you maybe like one more rush of flowers. And what usually happens is if you go in there saying like September and you give it that pruning back, and all of a sudden like the end of September, October, you've got all those brand new buds, you're going to wind up having like a winter zap come in and freeze them all off. And basically what happened was the plant should have been using all that energy to like, you know, work on the roots and work on the leaves. And instead it was so worried about making those blooms. It's almost like making your plant, you work when it doesn't have to.
Yeah, exactly. When you go to prune anything, it's the signal for them to start growing more because they've been cut. And so you don't need that extra growth right before a killing frost. It's just going to stress the plant out a little bit more than it already was stressed out. It'll survive, but it's not best practice, is it?
Exactly. Yep. So I have to tell you, here at Cranberry Fields, I pruned them back, pruned back my limelight and half of my Annabelles last year for the first time in 7 years. And the reason why I don't prune mine back is because the limelight hydrangeas are the ones, I mean, I literally have plants back there that are 12 years old. I've got blooms that are like 2 feet big, and I have a ton of videos on those on my YouTube channel. I have a Kelly Lehman YouTube channel. They're literally bigger than my head, but I can't sell those. So when we go to make our burlap wrap bouquets, to put like a 2-foot bloom in a bouquet, it's just I mean, to put it in like, like a giant hotel lobby would be amazing.
Yes,
But to
yes.
ship it, so I basically leave them alone, because when you leave them alone, you're going to wind up getting beautiful blooms, but they're going to be smaller.
Okay.
And also they're not going to be so heavy. So a lot of times people will have limelight hydrangeas on their landscaping in their front yard, and it looks beautiful. And what they'll do is we'll kind of, cut them back. They'll do the pruning, but then those branches get super, super weighed down by those heavy blooms.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they've got these floppy looking, giant hydrangeas, almost touching the ground in their front yards. And they can't figure out, oh my God, why did it get so floppy? If you just
so the idea is to leave more of the plant, of the woody structure of the plant on, to have fewer blooms, more blooms that are smaller, that can be held up, that can be supported.
Exactly. So it's kind of like more blooms exactly that are smaller, and you've got that kind of cager. And the same thing with the Annabelles. Like if you go in there and you prune back your Annabelle in like late winter, early spring, you can do that definitely for a cleanup. I'll do that with half my plants, but the ones that I prune back, I mean, they're like soccer balls.
Yeah.
They come in, they are so beautiful and colossal, but on the Annabelles, a lot of times they'll, kind of up, but there's a new variety from Proven Winners. It's called Incredible, and they have sturdier stems. So that's another option of, if you want a sturdier stemmed, snowball looking round, beautiful white hydrangea, Incredible is a good pick.
And that's an arborescens type. The other one that I've been putting into a couple of designs lately are, they only max out at about 2 feet. So they're like an Annabelle, but mini. And what are they called? I cannot remember, but
Bobo. Is it Bobo? Maybe
it is not Bobo. It's another one shorter still. And so I'll try to get it for the blog and put it
yeah, that's important. A lot of people ask me for like smaller homes or small, everyone bought houses like in the last 2 years, right? And they're all different sizes. And a lot of people say, listen, I don't want to have 4-foot hydrangeas. I want the 2-foot. So like little lime's a great option for like that smaller landscaping plan, and Bobo, and
whatever it is that I can't think of. Because
I know, me neither. I'm having that senior moment also. I know who you're talking about. I just have no idea what their name is right now.
But I think that the Annabelle is so, I don't know, I just love the different ways I deal with it in my yard. In the front, where, I say I have a mullet garden, it's all business in the front and party in the back. In the front, I like to clean it up in winter, which is not great for bug habitat, but I guarantee you most of what's happening is in the back anyway. And so I do cut my Annabelles down to 3 or 4 inches, because I actually grow hellebores right underneath them.
Oh, I love the hellebores.
Yeah, and they make such a great mix, and so that means in January, February, March and April, I'm looking at only hellebores and not hellebores in amongst sticks. You know what I mean?
Right.
But in the back, I absolutely leave all my Annabelles, and I love the snow as it falls on those heads. It's just amazing.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that when you use I love the idea that you have the hellebores there. It's almost like a stacking, because I'll do that with my peonies in back of my Annabelle. So I'll have a row of peonies in the back. Okay. And when I do cut back my Annabelles, the same thing, I'll leave about, like 2 feet, in place, just to kind of give it that extra structure. But you will see all the peonies in bloom is like against a white fence. So it's a white fence. All these peony blooms come up in the beginning of spring. And then as the peonies fade, then the Annabelles start to take over, and you've got this great piece of real estate with like succession blooms. Yes. But I'm actually going to do the hellebore idea next year. I love that, because then the hellebores will come up in March. Yeah. And then I love that. That's brilliant. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad that I was able to pitch in there a little bit. What is it like at your flower farm? Can people come and cut their own, or? Oh, good question. A lot of people ask that. We actually live here on the farm. So we raised our 4 kids here. So we're not really open to the public. But we do love to just like share as much as we can, especially on YouTube and Instagram every day. I have like a good morning every like if you're watching Cranberry Fields on Instagram, like every morning you are greeted with a good morning from the farm. Aww. So we try to share as much as we can that way. But yeah, it was a little too much. And it's funny because my in-laws live by too. So the house is always steaming with like kids and their friends and my in-laws. And we were like, to open it to the public, I think I might lose my mind if there were more people. Yeah, I can't do that. And then of course there's Lucy. I mean, Lucy is. And then of course Lucy takes up a lot of real estate. Yeah, my Bernese Mountain Dog. So yeah, her Bernese Mountain Dog. When I first started looking at Kelly, I'm like, and she has a Bernese Mountain Dog. This is so cool. 2 of my grand dogs are Bernese Mountain Dogs. So get out. Oh, that's nice. No, they're wonderful. Crockett and Boone. Very cool. Yeah. So what does Lucy think of the flowers in the garden? Oh, I have to say, Lucy now is to the point where we tape certain days, like Mondays and Wednesdays are like our videotaping day. And Lucy knows, like, once we're out that door, like she's right next to us, she's in the garden. Like, we always say, we all know you're the star star, clear the way for the star. And she loves being outside. So it's really nice because we're always outside with her, with the filming, with all the social media, and we have her on the pink golf cart, and she just knows, like, she gets right into like form, and she's like completely.
Well, we probably should wrap up, but before we do, I just want to make sure that you can guide people to exactly where you want to find. I will have these links, but what do you like to share the most? The courses that are on your website, the YouTube.
Right. Yeah. So we have Kelly Lehman is the actual like YouTube channel. So it's my name, Kelly Lehman. And then the Instagram is Cranberry Fields, and it's spelled like my town, which I guess you'll have the link there. And then, I would love to see you guys over on some of those courses. And it's called a Retrieve Library. So it's, it's under Kelly Lehman. I have my own little section in the library. And right now I've got those 3 courses. And at this point, we should also have like a holiday course that we just put up in December that should be live too. And so, and we're Kelly Lehman's Flowers is our TikTok.
Okay.
So, you try to grab your name where you can, but a lot of times like the name's, taken.
Yeah.
So, and then we're on Pinterest too. Like everything that we share, we love to share on Pinterest. So I love Pinterest. So we've got, like loads and loads, like thousands and thousands of pins on Pinterest, and we're on Twitter too, and Facebook. Oh, and this is a great place to kind of meet up. There's thousands of gardeners from all over the world on our group page on Facebook. So it's called Kelly Lehman's Flower Tribe.
Okay.
And I think there's like 4,000 gardeners. They're from all over the place, all over the world. And they're like swapping garden tips there every day. And I had asked, like, people on YouTube had said, is there a place we can post our own pictures and talk to each other? And I was like, please, because I can't answer everybody's questions.
Yes.
And they took over. They basically said, what do I do with my hydrangea? How do I plant my daffodils? And then someone from like, England will tell someone from like Georgia how to plant their daffodils. And they're a great group of gardeners. So that's another great place.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So now that listeners, where to find Kelly Lehman, you cannot avoid Kelly Lehman. I mean, she's out there. Thank you so much for spending time with me.
Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Please say hi to us over on our Cranberry Fields Instagram page, and please join us on our Kelly Lehman's Flower Tribe Facebook group, because there's gardeners from all over the world, and they're posting pictures of their own beautiful flowers, and they're asking and answering tons of garden questions over there. And I will see you in the next video. I almost forgot to tell you about my free download, 4 must-have flowers for your gardens, and that's free, and you can snag it in descriptions below.